latest chit chat. Grab your popcorn, sit tight, we're ready to roll. In the heart of Sacktown, we're feeding your soul. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star. With the NFL, Adams in the ring. Rhino's got the wisdom, hear the praises we sing. Court in session, it's a royal affair. With the fans all around, feel the passion in the air. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star.
And we are off to the races on a Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing good. Welcome into the King's Court. Court is in
order in the court
session. The voice is getting a little bit better. We're getting there. It's getting there. How are you doing today? Hope your days are going well. Whether you're at work, maybe you're on vacation, maybe you're a stay-at-home dad, mom, whatever it may be. Hope everything's going well. Look, it's the middle of summer. We're right around the corner from Summer League, so we can talk about your expectations for the Kings. I had a great conversation with Jerry Reynolds yesterday about that. There was one thing in particular that stuck out to me in that conversation that I want to replay. I want to get back to that here in a little bit. We might talk a little bit about baseball in Sacramento as well. A lot coming back in terms of feedback of the playing surface, the facilities, the A's complaining, out-of-town teams complaining. We can hit that as well. I even have some World Series of Poker content that I did not expect to be content today. Like never in a million years did I think I would be talking about the World Series of Poker. But here we are. We've got a little bit of that as well. Audio from King's practice a couple days ago and a lot of other stuff. Chet Holmgren gets paid. Not a big surprise there. Something Jerry and I talked about yesterday. Who would you rather keep? Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. What do you think? He went with Chet. I understand why. I'm kind of with him there. Also, Napes. Look at that new graphic. Looking good. Got that Florida vibe to it. I love those Florida colors, like those South Beach colors. Those are sick. Good job, Justin, who made that graphic. But Napes will be back 8 o'clock tonight with all of you. Heard there were some interesting questions about Keegan Murray and what his salary could look like. So we'll get into that as well. Also, phone lines. We've not been getting a lot of phone calls lately. Do it. Pick up the phone.
Do this now. Please do.
Pop one off. There you go.
Pop one off.
Don't think, just go. Here we go. Do it.
Just like a desk pop. Just pop it off. Just hit the link that's pinned to the top of the chat. Scan the QR code that's on the screen if you want to call. You can talk about anything. NFL over-unders are out. Win totals, also NBA. So I want to go over a few of those as the day goes along. But forgive me, we did not have a Monday show, which means we did not start the week off in the right mindset. So here on Wednesday, even though it's quote unquote hump day, whatever you want to call it, we need to get ourselves right. There's something we do on Mondays around here. Somebody that gets us inspired. His name's Scott Perry. Motivational Mondays. This was this past Monday when fulfilling a bold vision often much resistance will come from those that do not see what you see. Don't allow their fears or your own to stay away from your path. Knowing you can do this will enhance your drive to see it through completion. How about that? Do you have goosebumps? Did I just get you ready to run through a wall? Compliments of Scott Perry. We usually start with our Monday motivation, so we had to slip that in. We are just about, 36 hours? A little bit over 36 hours, maybe 40 hours from the start of Summer League, which will be, actually, no, we're there. 24. Yeah, we're there. Starts tomorrow in Vegas. Who do you think they're kicking off with in Vegas? You'll never guess who's playing in the featured game. What do you think? Who's it going to be? Give you one name, Cooper Flagg. Usually it's like the number 1 and the number 2 draft picks going against each other. I guess you could call this person they're in the 2 realm. They're in the 2 realm. We'll put it there. Also, last time they played, they were on a minutes restriction. Who do you think the Mavs are taking on Thursday? We laid out the Kings schedule for Summer League. There's their 4 games. Depending on how they do in those 4, they will then get seeded and maybe make a run at the Summer League Championship. Nope, we will not be raising any Summer League banners. I would tell you the Kings, based off the experience that's on their roster and the guys that have played enough NBA basketball, the Kings should definitely be playing more than 4 games. They should be playing late into this. But that you can't judge it on a team effort per se. You got to look at everybody individually and what they needed to improve on since last season. So you kind of take those things and you balance them out in the middle, but you've got too much experience. You have 4 players that were the core, part of the core of a G League championship. So I would expect the Kings to do pretty well. Kuminga, still a name floating around here in Sacramento. Jerry wasn't quite sure how the fit would work right now in Sac. The Warriors still kind of holding the cards there. Interesting how they're waiting and seeing, because free agency starting to dry up, and Jerry put it at 70% yesterday that DeMar DeRozan would be on the opening night roster for the Kings. Do you think that's right about where you have it? I had it about 60. So what are you thinking? We're losing, I would say, if you want to trade DeMar DeRozan, you're fastly losing options. They're falling through the filter. There's only a couple coffee grinds that made it into the pot that are left for the Kings to deal with. So looking more and more like DeMar might be closer to the end of the summer, maybe more likely. Jerry pointed this out, probably going to be trade deadline if the Kings do decide to move him. I already talked about the totals. We can have some fun with these with NFL and NBA. NFL, it's a little bit more accurate because now you've got the draft in, you've gotten your OTAs. This goes into kind of summer break for the guys. And before you know it, they're reporting to camp. I can't wait to have football back. I'm really interested to see what Niner fan is thinking about this season. Was last season just a massive outlier? Just bad circumstances, injuries? Do you think you get back on the horse this season? Seattle, personally, the team that I follow, I don't see it with Sam Darnold. I think it's a step back from Geno Smith. The reason I say that is Sam worked really, really well with Kevin O'Connell. Those two were very, very familiar. And Kevin O'Connell, offensive coach, played quarterback at SDSU. What's up, fellow Aztec? Seattle, defensive head coach. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong for the 12s. Also, I'm putting a lot out here. So call the show if you want to get in on the action. I'm giving you so many topics that we can get to. In addition to the Kings, Draymond Green had some more comments, and he is the latest person to come out and talk about the CBA. Scott Perry talked about it. He was asked yesterday when Dennis Schroeder was introduced about the challenges with the new CBA. I want to kind of go over Draymond's comments. And at the end of the day, didn't they sign and agree to the CBA? You knew what you were getting yourself into. So why are the players getting all upset now? I mean, it was pretty clear with these aprons that teams were going to have to deconstruct if it doesn't work out. So we've got that. And then a couple of goofy things as well. How many people here play poker? Are you a poker player? Do you get together? Do you got a group of guys and gals that you do like a monthly tournament? Do you actually go to the casinos and play in tournaments? Like, where are you at with that? Because with poker comes certain etiquettes. And there's somebody at the World Series of Poker that is making a massive impact on that event. He's not doing anything wrong. But when I tell you I have found somebody that is more annoying than Haunted Horse, wait till you hear some of the clips. The guy calling last night the World Series of Poker on YouTube, the live stream, the broadcaster had to walk away from the mic because he couldn't listen to this guy anymore. And this is this guy's game. That's what he wants to do to you. We'll talk about him as well. So a lot going on. And then can somebody explain this to me? So I was being a good dad and I decided, I'm going to go get my son a Happy Meal, right? I'm going to get him a Happy Meal. Make him happy. He's been sick. He's been stuck indoors during his first couple weeks of summer break. And I am part of the Tesla family. In fact, that is literally what I drive right in front of you. A little bit of an older model. I'm still trying to figure out what the heck is attached below that bumper. I don't know what that is. Tesla doesn't have exhaust, or they don't have exhausts. That's not a tow hitch. What is that? Can somebody help me out? My mind has just been like going back and forth. Well, maybe it's for this. Okay, like, is he racing his car? You wouldn't want metal like that on the car if you're racing it. Like, what is that? I don't know. Help me out. If you're a car person, help me out. It's one of those things where it's like on the tip of my tongue and I have no idea exactly like what it is, or you feel like you know what it is. I have no idea what that was. I mean, no offense. I mean, if you think that looks good, cool. To each their own. It's your car. It's like the people that put the carpool stickers on their Teslas. I'm sorry. If you're driving a Tesla, I'm not putting a carpool sticker on it. The middle or the carpool lane is not that important to me. Or I'm hiding it. Like putting the littlest part of it on the car that's visible. Anyways, Grant back tonight again. If you haven't already, subscribe. We'd love to have you here on the channel. If you wouldn't mind, give us a thumbs up. Would really appreciate that. Give us a like, give us a retweet if you're watching on X. We can't do it without you. And you guys have been great, guys and gals, throughout the seasons and definitely this summer. I mean, we're kind of there. I mentioned it yesterday. These are the dog days. As soon as summer league's over, it's going to get quiet. We're going to have a week before training camps open, a couple weeks, and then it's go time. August is a quiet month for the NBA. That's when everybody takes their vacations, coaches, etc., executives. That is the month that they get off. So August will be quiet, but we're there and we are almost through it. Before you know it, we're going to have a ton of other stuff to get to debating, whether it's with the Kings, whether it's with the Niners. We got a lot of Raider Nation up in here. So let's check your reaction. What's going on? Furious, how you doing? Happy Wednesday. Dennis, always in the house. Yeah, if we can move of. Okay, you're getting closer to English, Dennis. Talk to text, man. Just use the fingers. Take the Vienna sausages out of your pockets and use the fingers. Come on, man. If we can get off that older money, we can sign Kuminga. Well, let's make a let's realize, does Kuminga want to come here? You got to think about that first. Yeah, it's like an aerodynamic thingy, but like how does it help the car? It just didn't make sense. It's a Ford Prius. Did you mean to say a Ford Prius? Because that's pretty funny if that's what you meant. That's really good, Furious. That's comment of the day. If that was targeted, that is a really funny comment. Ford Prius. Circlet on the Tesla. I don't have my instant replay board up right now. Peter, look at okay. I can't circle it, but everything that's not white below these bottom taillights, what is that? And it doesn't look cheap. Like, why? Okay, if it was a luggage rack, do you want your luggage that close to the ground? They make racks for the top of the car that you could use. It's a diffuser. What's a diffuser? I have no idea what that is. And what do you need to diffuse on a Tesla? It's electric. Tristan laughing, as always. There you go. Dennis, I'm going okay. So you guys, Peter is already into it with Dennis. Tristan, big poker person. Wait till you hear this guy from last night. And I guess this is part of his game. I would not. You should have seen the rest of the table. You almost had to turn it off. The broadcaster that walked away, I would have done the same thing. I just wouldn't be able to deal with them. In fact, here's a small sampling of this dude. Just a tiny little taste. Here's an appetizer.
I swear, every time I'm bluffing, I will show. I promise. I promise. Every hand. Relentless.
I mean, at first glance, looking at this guy, you can tell he doesn't probably get into substances, but you would think by the way he talks, how quickly he talks, and how he never stops talking, that the dude's like friends with Stephon Diggs. And he's got the pink stuff mixed with the blue stuff, mixed with everything else. Like, this guy is a weird dude. 49ers all the way. Bang, bang. Derek says Golden State at 47.5. Yeah, that does seem high for the West. That means, Derek, to me, they're banking on another move. That's what it says to me. Peter, Kings only have 4.7 Kings only have 4.7 in the first apron. So somebody's moving if we get Kuminga. So the Kings are 4.7 under the apron, is what you're saying, Peter. And yes, somebody would have to move. I would agree with you there. Let's see, Derek, you can hear anything outside of what the papers you hear anything outside of what the papers have said about the Kings practice so far? No, I have not. I have not at all, other than what you heard from the coach yesterday. If you weren't with us yesterday, here's what Depeche Mistry, the head coach for the Summer League Kings, had to say.
I just want them to establish their defensive identity. Right? This team is going to be a defensive mindset of team going into Summer League. Like, we're going to make them feel us. We're going to communicate, right? And then we're going to compete. And those are the three things I'm really harping on. And I think the defense is going to create our offense.
Now, I know this is just obviously the first practice with all of them, but, you know, was there anyone in particular out there that really surprised you, or any particular player who you really were like, wow, I didn't know they had that?
To be honest with you, I really enjoyed Devin's leadership, you know, and I know, like, he's played limited amount of games this season, but he's been working hard in the summer. Every day he's been in here. And I just like how he controlled his team. And that's what kind of really shocked me. Not just his play, it was his leadership of his team.
He said he's going to be playing anything that you guys ask him. You guys going to be running him a lot at the point.
Yes. I want him to handle the ball. You know, we got multiple ball handlers because we're going to play fast. So truly, we don't really have a point guard. You know, we're going to have multiple point guards. They're going to bring up the ball, and Dem is going to be one of them. And we're going to test him to see if he can handle the pressure. And I think he has, because he's been working on it.
Would Neek be kind of factor in that as well?
Yes, of course. And, you know, Neek played little point guard in high school. So we're going to test that out and see how he handles the pressure. And I think he'll do a good job. And we'll test it out right now, too, when we scrimmage and stuff.
when you have, this opportunity.
So defense first, pace second, defense into offense. Interesting. It's kind of what I said the Kings needed to look like under Doug Christie. Losing Laravia, that stinks. That hurts. Dennis, there was tranquil music in the background. Come on, dude. Did you not hear the music? Everybody else did. I know what we're doing with that. What's up, Flores? Hope you're having a great day. Flores, I think I was over by your neighborhood today. I had to go to Freeport Bakery. Do you know how hard it is to get out of Freeport Bakery without the one thing you're supposed to pick up? Like if it's a cake that's for a party, it's so incredibly hard. Holy bleep. Place is good. And away we go. Yep, we are off to a good start. So this was interesting to me yesterday, what Jerry had to say. Check this out. So Jerry was talking about, or actually, you know what? It lays out perfectly. I read the question. Andrew had a question for Jerry. Check out the follow-up question. And Jerry gave us some insight that I don't think he's dropped anywhere else. Number one, something I was not aware of. But I thought it was really interesting what he says happened. So check this out. Here was yesterday.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Now, see, this guy knows basketball.
Oh, that's the wrong job. But yes, I do know basketball. Hey, I got my good question.
Whew. That's a great question.
I got my one for the day. Got my quota. Here you go. Correct drop. Great Doug Christie stint as head coach last season. And will anything be different this season? No political answer, please. Asking a lot here, Andrew. Putting Jerry's feet to the coals.
Oh my God,
man.
Well,
Jerry.
Yeah, that's a great. That is good. But here's what I think. I mean, it has to be. This is Doug's team now. You know, he's not adjusting to what sort of going in, adjusting to what Mike Brown did, trying to change it on the fly, then getting a different team middle of the year, trying to adjust that. No, he's going into it this year. He's the boss. His staff is his staff. He's hired his guys, as far as I know. And so, yeah, it'll be on Doug now. And he'll also have a camp to implement what he wants to do offensively and defensively. So he'll start the season now. You know, we'll see how it goes, but he's going to start the season really with the team that he wants to play. I mean, you know, he'll have the guys he thinks deserves to play and the style he wants to play. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, definitely it'll be much easier for him to coach this team than last year. How much better will it make him? I think a coach's impact with the roster, which I think is not balanced. I mean, I think he could make a 3 or, you know, whatever talent this team has or whatever ability they have to say this is a 40-win team. If we want to say that, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's a 40-win team. Well, I think with a really good coach using the guys the best of their ability, might get 4 or 5 more wins. You know, I think that's what you see when you see you know, Rick Carlisle or Thibodeau or Ime Udoka. All they're doing, they've got a talented team, but they're getting 4 or 5 more wins than maybe a lesser coach. That's all. You don't take a 20-win team and you know Red Auerbach, you know, he don't win championships till Bill Russell showed up. So, you know.
So, Jerry Reynolds didn't win a championship because Bill Russell only showed up on the bench.
Well, Bill was, bless his heart. I rest in peace. I loved the guy. Yeah, but he was unique. He was unique. And I was honored to get a chance to be around him and work for him.
Very, very cool. So you think, I got to get you out, but you think Woody was a Doug decision?
That's a good question. You know, I know he texted me. We texted about Woody because he knew I knew him, and all I can say is good things because you know, I've known him for a long time, and I know he's a good coach. Now, whether you know, I know that Woody has a background with Scott Perry, you know, during Detroit and different times in New York. So, you know, so you know that probably entered into it as well. But at the end of it, he went along with it. So it's on him, and the fact that he's his top assistant, and he's certainly, Woody's a loyal guy. There's not an ounce of disrespect or anything like that. I think Woody wants to be a head coach again, but I know he's going in there to be an assistant and do the best job he can with Doug, and he brings a little different edge. Woody's old school, so I know Doug's more of a people player kind of guy, which is great in today's game. But Woody brings a little Thibodeau and it's a little edge in there, which Mike Malone,
good.
As I think it's like I say, you need a few shitbird players. Sometimes you need a little shitbird coach.
So that was Jerry yesterday. Now, when we talked about a lead assistant for Doug Christie, we kicked this can around the road many times during the season when Doug may have not had a good game. Well, he needs an X's and O's guy. We've kicked it around since the season ended. We kicked it around the night the season ended. Well, what if Doug comes back? What's that going to look like? What does he need to balance himself out? And when Mike Woodson was hired, it didn't, to me, feel like a Doug Christie hire. It just really didn't. Now, what I said into response to what Doug Christie needed was many of the traits that Jerry Reynolds just laid out, where, he'll get into guys. Woody's more of an X's and O's guy. He's not afraid to be the bad guy. Kind of a yin to Doug Christie's yang. So those are all good things that I think line up well for the Kings. But the fact that Doug texted Jerry to find out about Woody, that's really cool. That tells you how respected Jerry's opinion still is within that building. But does that make you think that was more of a Scott Perry? And maybe it doesn't matter, but with the way the coaching staff came together, where it went from, Scott being told Doug's going to be the coach, and then Woody coming on, which felt like a Scott thing. And then you get Bobby Jackson, and then you get Mike Miller, who has the Knicks ties and all that to Scott. It felt like kind of one of those fantasy football drafts where you're just going back and forth. So I found that super interesting. I liked what I heard about Woody, but I wasn't sure what to make of Doug reaching out to Jerry. And it could have been it didn't matter. Could have been just a reach out, due diligence. But I thought that was a really cool thing that Jerry shared on the air here yesterday about Mike Woodson. So we'll see how that coaching staff works together. We'll know here in a couple of months when the basketball season opens up. We'll get the schedule in August. I swear, if they send the Kings on a late road trip again to the East Coast, that'll be the third year in a row. There were some games that some trips that did not make sense last year. Finchy, it is hot. I hear it's getting more. It's going to increase this week. That's not good. Diffuser. I saw we're starting to get some answers. It's for airflow. It's for better downforce. Gives it a sport look. I don't know that if I call that a sport look, but okay, fair enough. Helps with road rage. Good job, Tristan. Yeah, you see that on somebody's car. You're not going to mess with them. Controls the air. Justin gives us another one to manage the airflow underneath the car. It makes the car so much uglier, though. That's the problem. Haunted Horse. I wonder if he has a source there. I hear they're serving Jim Boy's tacos at the Kings practice facility. No, they have their own kitchen and chefs. Gail, what's up? Last I read, the Celtics were letting Al Horford go. Any word on where you think he might end up? Gail, I think it's more what I've heard of Al Horford letting the Celtics go rather than the Celtics letting him go. Brad Stevens was pretty transparent about wanting Al back for another season, which is incredible at his age. He's been in the league forever. If he goes anywhere, Gail, it's going to be a contender. You're going to get 55 games out of him, probably, realistically, 55 in the playoffs. It's going to be a contender. What else does he have left to do in the NBA? He's got 5 kids. He's content with retiring. I kind of see it as if it's not the Celtics, he's probably going to hang him up. Unless, again, it's a very, very good situation. Someplace that makes him want to get out of bed every morning and be there. But what a career he's already had. I know Dennis says, wish he'd come to Sacramento. No chance. He is not coming to Sacramento. Peter, bumper lip diffusers. Okay. Look at you, Peter. Peter, Peter, are you a real person or are you AI? You might just be AI. I need Haunted Horse's bot thing. It's incredible. He's always right there with the responses. I was not fat, bro. I did not get anything. I was doing a favor for somebody else because I was in the neighborhood. So it does not apply to me. But like in Sacramento, that's one of those places that if you want to, it is perfectly acceptable to buy yourself your own cake and just go ham. It's that good, Horse. I'm sure you got a place up in Portland very similar to that. So anyways, as we continue rolling through, I just looked at the Giants score. They should have started me at pitcher. Are they getting killed? They've not been playing well lately. Getting Chapman back was a big deal, but they have not been playing well. Rhino said it was Doug. Yes, Doug texted Jerry Reynolds. Any cross-country truck drivers in here? Or am I the only one? You're a cross-country truck driver, Andrew. Interesting. So do me a favor, and because it's the middle of the summer and sometimes we get off track, the mosh pits, we were all very enlightened when we learned about those from Ash Hades. What was it? There's freestyle, karate style. I need to go back and watch that. I need to freshen up my memory. How much room do you have in those things? Like, do you have like your own room in the cab? And then like also, do you actually stop at those places? Like when I drove from Utah, there was a number of truck stops where it's like, take a number for your shower. Like it's just such an interesting lifestyle to me. And your area or your room for air is so small, Andrew. Andrew, do me a favor and promise me you weren't part of those truck drivers that decided they were going to go 15 on 99 in backed up traffic for hours. Hopefully you're not that truck driver, but that lifestyle interests me to a degree. They're trying to crack down on truck drivers, making sure they're not driving more hours than they're supposed to. Look at us. All right, so I've teased this poker thing. I got to give you a sample of what I heard last night. So I love poker, by the way. Love playing poker. I don't go to casinos and play poker. I usually play with my friends. Shout out to the Wisco crew. Beat them twice, both times that we played. Thank you for your money. It went towards Liam's 529 plan. But there's this guy that last night, his name's Will Kassoff. I thought it was like a gimmick where it's like, okay, this guy's talking junk just for a hand. Because when you think about poker players, sometimes we used to make jokes about, you show up, you've got your hood on, you're never changing your face, like you have no tells, you've got your AirPods in, like there's that quote unquote poker outfit. You always have the one friend that shows up like that to your home game. But this guy has taken it to the extreme on the other end of the spectrum. This guy does not shut up. This guy just keeps rolling. Like the 1-800 gambler reads where they're sped up 20 times. 1-800 got coming. You know what I mean? That's how this guy constantly talks. Could you imagine being at this guy's table? This is what was going on nonstop last night.
Like, it is really that gorgeous.
Sure, last
Your
moment
guy
of
Kim,
silence.
blast mode engaged, winner.
Okay.
I'm telling you,
one time, but I still prefer to go
he
to
is the
Maldives and
most.
any
I
other
think he might be the most
island or lake.
insane player
So I
that
can
I've
freeze my balls
ever
off and potentially, literally,
had the experience of sitting with
freeze
at a
my ass
table.
off, as you Americans or North Americans would say. My big
I
blind?
think it was last year's main event.
Carsten, big blind special. Let's go. You want 4? Another 4?
Another
Another 4? You want fries with that? Anything else? You want some ketchup, some fries? Anything else? No? Please, shuffle up and deal. We're still playing Hold'em, right? Unless everyone agrees round of each. Hold'em. You know the Hold'em, right? Just 2 cards. Yeah, one more round. Keep going, buddy. You're doing good. When you get to the button, you stop. Yeah, one more, 2 more. Done. That's it. Stop. And we wait for the action.
Do you want a deal?
No, I'm trying to help him. He's like a young guy, spring chicken, like 22 years old. He can only gamble in casinos.
Do I look 22?
22. You know?
Appreciate that.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You buy me a drink anytime. Any champagne?
I'm quite a bit
Right.
older than 22.
I'm not fussy. I'm not fussy guy. Any champagne you want to
So
buy?
I'm going to just listen to him in the background.
Cocktail.
Jamie Kirsten.
This is what he did for hours and hours and hours. They're calling him the quote unquote, and this does not open up the
Who
door.
would you guys want to cut the mics from? Let's
Okay.
start with this
It's a
table
good
here.
moment.
So I'm just counting out chips. It's not a bit. 8,000?
No idea who they're going to say.
My big blind like a boss.
My best guess would be
All these
Kasu.
online knitback keyboard warriors, min clicking like they're at home now. Clicking buttons in China. They come to Vegas, clicking buttons on my big blind. I don't
Come
know
on,
if I don't
Brittany.
know if I can fold. These two are all wizards. They're all wizards.
Fuck them up, Brittany.
Min click every hand. Whether they've got aces or 7s, they just min click.
When you sat down, I did say
Mean
welcome to hell.
So sick. So sick. I can't.
The guy doesn't stop. Sorry for the bad words. The guy does not stop. So, according to the Las Vegas Review and Journal, he's being glossed the Donald Trump of poker, polarizing pro, making noise in the World Series of Poker main event. Moments before the mid-afternoon break on day 3 of the World Series of Poker, 2 players walked past table 487 in the Horseshoe, Las Vegas, to see why it was receiving so much attention. They're putting, quote, they're putting William Kassouf on the featured table, the first player said. Quote, oh no, those poor people, the second player said. Kassouf's up to his old antics in the $10,000 buy-in, no-limit Hold'em World Championship. The British pro players made plenty of chirping chips when action was halted on Wednesday as he bagged a top 100 stack going into the next day. The point of this is this guy does not shut up. He just keeps going. He says stuff that's like borderline offensive to a degree. I couldn't believe that an announcer that's being paid to call the tournament walked off the set legitimately and did not come back until they took him off the feature table. It was unbearable, but it was one of those things that you just couldn't take your eyes off of. You're like, what is going on? I'll tell you what. You think like Phil Hellmuth is a brat? This guy is out of control. Go check, like, just look him up. Like an auctioneer. Exactly. And he was doing stupid stuff too. He like raised, I think it was like 9 times the big bet or the big blind without even looking at his cards. Like he's messing with it. Was nuts. I'm just saying. Had to bring that in. We should have a King's Court online poker night. I would do a King's Court poker night here in Sacktown. I'd put that on. I would do that. That'd be fun. What do you think? I like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Do it at like Bennett's. We'd have to tell Brian it was for no money, though. Rent out the back room at Bennett's. Micro Machine guy. Ryan, get that guy on your show before Horse gets him on his show. Horse. Knowing, because I've worked with you, how hard it is to get a word in, you will not get a word in over this guy. It's not going to happen. It's just not. So anyways, we're getting obscure. It's a Wednesday. It's the middle of the summer, but I had to point that out. It just blew me away. Paul's all in on the idea. I like it. All right, let's look at some NBA over-unders. We'll look at the NFL ones too. We flirted with these yesterday. For those just tuning in, Summer League kicks off tomorrow in Las Vegas. Oh, I teased the opening game. The featured game tomorrow night is the Mavericks and the Lakers. Number 1 pick, Cooper Flagg versus Bronny James, who recently was on a minutes restriction. Interesting enough. Also, if you're just joining us, the Kings looking to play an up-tempo style of basketball. They want to turn defense into offense. A lot of pressure. Here is their head coach, Depeche Mistry, who will be taking them to Vegas and sit in first chair in Vegas.
I just want them to establish their defensive identity. Right? This team is going to be a defensive mindset team going into Summer League. Like, we're going to make them feel us. We're going to communicate, right? And then we're going to compete. And those are the 3 things I'm really harping on. And I think the defense is going to create our offense.
Now, I know this is just obviously the first practice with all of them, but, you know, is there anyone in particular out there that really surprised you, or any particular player who you really are like, wow, I didn't know they had that?
To be honest with you, I really enjoyed Devin's leadership, you know, and I know like he's played limited amount of games this season, but he's been working hard in the summer. Every day he's been in here. And I just like how he controlled his team, and that's what kind of really shocked me. Not just his play; it was his leadership of his team.
So we had the roster up a little bit ago. I said, and I still believe, the Kings should be fairly successful in Vegas. They've got 4 guys, 4 core players that just are coming off of winning a G League championship. You've got the 2 rookies. You're not sure what you're going to get out of them. And then you've got Devin Carter as well. Devin Carter needs to, I guess we'll put the Summer League stuff back up and then we'll get back to the totals. But Devin Carter, in my opinion, when you watch the Kings play, he needs to look like an NBA player versus players under him. Players that aren't NBA players. You need to see that difference in his game, whether it's the ball handling, whether it's the speed. I'm not expecting a ton out of him when it comes to shooting. I would much rather see him set guys up. Certainly, I want to see if his release has sped up a little bit. Not crazy concerned about the loft that he gets under it. More concerned with the release time that it takes for him to get it off. But he's got to look a level above everybody else. Maybe outside of your top picks. Maybe outside of them. But all the pressure in the world is on Dev this Vegas run. That's the big question that's looming, I think, in this front office's mind. Do we need to go get another point guard? The next question is, do we have our backup point guard already in the building? And then I think you're looking two different ways. You're looking at what Neek can do running the one. You're also looking at what Mason Jones can do running the one. If Mason Jones has a better summer league than Devin Carter, things are going to get really interesting for the Kings. You'd like to see them both have a great summer. But if Devin is not playing up to Mace's level, and you can't judge that by points scored, what you got to judge that by is defense, assist to turnover ratio, battery, physicality, leadership. Then the other guy that's not a point guard, Isaac Jones. We talked about him yesterday. Isaac Jones is one of those wild cards right now. He's back. His salary's guaranteed. The Kings picked it up. But if he can play, here's the first thing I want to see. Has Isaac extended his game? Is he willing to step out and take a mid-range shot, or even better, take a three and possibly knock it down? That's kind of a big ask considering what his game has been up until this point. But if he can prove that he can play 7 to 10 minutes a night, that's going to help this Kings team tremendously, not only in transition, but at protecting the rim. So those guys are where my focus is at. Obviously, you want to see what Max can do. You want to see what Neek can do. But that matchup of Devin and Mace, I want to see how close Mace is able to play with Devin. At what levels they're at. Do they look like they're on the same level? Is Devin clearly a class above? I'm not so concerned. In fact, with Devin's rebounding, he's already shown us that he can rebound in the NBA. So I don't need him flying in every single game trying to get a bunch of rebounds because I don't want him to get hurt. But it's the other stuff. The basketball IQ too. Basketball IQ, know when to push, know when not to push, etc. So those are the big things that I am looking for in Summer League. But just based off of this roster, the Kings should be playing more than 4 games in Vegas. They have a lot better of a core than most teams. You got guys that have played considerable minutes with each other already on this roster. So I would expect them to play well. Monk can play some backup point guard in a pinch if needed. Not ideal, but serviceable. Patrick McCaffrey looks nice. You got to see him in the games. Got to see him in the games. The poker guy's voice was very much annoying. I wanted to rip my ears out. That's how I felt all last night when I had this on.
Oh, if you got it, you got it. Tell her. What's the line in American?
He knows.
No, you got to say it in American so they understand.
In American.
How'd you say it?
Heads up. You got it, you got it.
And say it loud and proud. Don't be shy, bro.
I'm not shy.
Yeah,
I'm just tired.
Okay.
Understandable.
How many hours
Okay,
did you
Jack
have?
10 deuce.
No, I had 2. Don't block me. I had 2, Vanessa had 3. You can at least say 4, minimum. Minimum.
I
maximum.
slept good, but
Awful. Awful. Shame on World Series of Poker for putting him at the main table. 2022 draft class is getting paid. Paolo and Chet got the max rookie extensions. Yes, they did. Third pick, Jabari Smith, got 122 over 5. Keegan has virtually the same stats as Smith. Yeah, Peter hit me up offline about this. I guess Grant really poo-pooed the idea of Keegan Murray seeing any money that's at that type of level. Speaking of levels, here's what I'll say about Keegan. I don't think on the open market that's what he's getting. But if Sacramento values Keegan enough, think about this. If they do value Keegan enough, you're going to overpay for Keegan Murray. So what's that premium look like? 122 over 5. You know, if Keegan comes out, and by the way, when you re-sign your own free agent, it doesn't go against the luxury tax. So you can technically be over the cap with those players if they are your own free agents. I think Keegan could realistically be looking at a 4-year. You know, he could get the Kings. You're really putting the nails to me. He could get the Kings close to Jabari. Less than Jabari, but close. 5 years. I think you're definitely in the hundreds. Can we start there? If you're going 5 years, Keegan's going to be in the hundreds. Easily. 4 years, 100 million, 25 mil a year. I think that's the starting ask if you're Keegan. Anybody disagree? What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, Tristan says 100. Yeah, 105. Malik Monk's making, here, we can go through what they're making right now. Keegan's set to make 14 next year. Yeah, I think 100. I think 100 mil is where you're starting. I disagree. I think 20 million's out there on the open market for Keegan. It's a good question. I understand why Grant takes exception to it, but Doug Christie talks about positionless basketball, correct? Keegan Murray right now is your key to playing positionless basketball. Followed by Keon Ellis. Hopefully followed by Devin Carter. But it starts with Keegan. Keegan can guard 1 through 5. That's why I think this season, it's so imperative, if you're the Kings, that you are pushing for Doug Christie. You are making it a priority to make Keegan a priority in the offense. Because don't you need to know one way or the other? See, okay, so this is interesting. I think we got to keep him not only with the okay, I think I get what you're saying. If you were grading Keegan defensively, I would say Keegan is to be going into year 4 where he's at defensively. I've got to give him an A. I've got to give him an 8 out of 10 minimum, leaning more towards a 9 out of 10 defensively. Almost every other opposing head coach that comes in to town, I know, gross. Yeah, Dennis was talking about stretching out DeMar DeRozan. If you're going to stretch anything, it's Zach LaVine. Keegan's defense at year 4, it's spectacular. It's the offense. So I don't even know where to rate his offense, right? Everything that I've heard with what they've asked Keegan to do summer to summer to summer, for the most part, Keegan has done it. Now, the defense, you can't argue with that. The body, you can't argue with that. His body has gotten stronger, bigger, exactly what the Kings wanted. Year 1, they wanted him to be more than a three-point shooter. Okay? They wanted him to get to the rim a little bit more. He was able to do that. He was able to get to the rim more. Now, not as much as fans would like, but he was able to get to the rim more. Last summer, they wanted him to be able to create his own shot. Go back and look. I'll pull up the shooting stats for him. He actually created a very, very nice step back fadeaway from the elbow extended that he was able to get off on many guys at the shot clock. And that was a shot that felt like more times than not, it went in, even if he was shooting poorly from beyond the three-point line. So back to my original point, if you're the Kings and you know this is coming up, you got to see what you have on offense. You got to give him an opportunity, not only because of what his possible trade value could be, but you need to know for when it's time to come to the table. I really liked what Keegan did the last part of the season. He started pushing back. He started speaking up a little bit more. In his own way, he started asking for the basketball. The difficulty is with Keegan Murray, you have other guys that you need to get going before him, i.e. Zach LaVine. Zach's one of those guys that you've got to get going. More times than not, when the Kings make an attempt to get Keegan going, they get him going, and then they go away from him. He'll be 3 for 3 in the first quarter, and you get the box score printed out for halftime, and he didn't have a shot in the second quarter. The last aspect of it that really I don't think we can ignore either is this. Keegan's not the only King that really started struggling from beyond the three-point line. We've got a list of them. So the question becomes, is it a system thing or a player thing? Kevin Huerter all of a sudden couldn't make a three. Keegan the same. Think about the Beam Team year. Those guys were constantly, if they weren't shooting, they were constantly touching the ball. The ball was moving. That slowed down the 46-win season because De'Aaron started taking more threes. So that extra swing was not happening And who knows, more times than not, you make that extra pass, that pass might come back to you. So you get less touches and you're being asked to do more with less. And then you throw DeMar DeRozan into the mix. Yeah, Malik had 3-point issues. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It's Keegan gets in. I know y'all call me a Keegan Murray homer, but Keegan gets pigeonholed into this idea that offensively he's trash and he just can't shoot the three. If you're going to pigeonhole Keegan into that, then you need to include all the other names whose 3-point shooting completely fell off the map. Which then I go back to, is it just these guys can't make threes anymore? Or is it a system thing? For me, I think it was a system thing. Kevin Huerter looked pretty good in Chicago. Davion Mitchell just got paid $14 million a year in Miami. I just think Doug has to make a big effort. I think on the offensive end, and Jerry drew this line yesterday, which I thought was a very good line, when Doug was talking about positionless basketball. Jerry drew the line basically at the midcourt and said, well, I think Doug's talking about the defensive end, not so much the offense. I think this team's going to have some more structure. You know, last year at training camp, the big thing that they were tracking, I remember it like day, looking at the coach tracking guys getting to the corners. They were tracking if the guards were getting there and if the ball was being pushed up. Anybody that watched Stockton play this year, especially in their run to the championship, that's what they lived off of. It's pushing the ball up the court and getting it into the corner. And then that fell off for the Kings once the season started. They were still tracking it, but they weren't really making it a priority yet. When you looked at the shooting splits in the differentials, they had their best percentages from the corners. It was like 47, I think it was 47.3% and 51 point something percent from the corners, but they were just getting too few looks. I thought he signed a 2-year, $28 million contract, Dennis. It's not 14 mil. $14.1, excuse me. Davion's, I thought he was 28 mil, 2 years. Tell me if I'm wrong. The threes DeRozan could have made. Yeah, that goes back to the basketball IQ. Basketball IQ, which I think the team has to be better at this year. There's no way the Kings, the IQ can be lower than what it was last year. And that team went through a lot of change, right? So we'll see. Neek Clifford. Actually, you know what? Let's listen to Devin Carter. Spoke to the media 2 days ago after practice. Here is what Dev had to say.
So, just everybody kind of getting to know each other, figure out everybody's games. Obviously played with a few guys last year. Degree went to Providence, so, just good seeing him again. Played against a few of the other guys also, so we're looking pretty good.
Not having this experience last year, just what kind of are you looking to hopefully accomplish?
Honestly, just, working on my game against live competition. Summertime, you really just get in the gym. You don't really have a lot of opportunities to get quality, like 5-on-5 runs too much. So just looking for the opportunity to play against other great people. So,
how much of an opportunity is this to kind of just showcase like how you've grown in the past year, given kind of the way things went last season?
It's a big opportunity, like you said, I missed some of these last year, missed the first 30 games, missed a lot of practices. So, it was just a rough first year, I guess you could say, injury standpoint and just availability standpoint. But definitely looking forward to it.
It can be tough, Devin, like as a young guy, to hear your name in like trade talks and stuff. How are you know, your name's been out there. How are you processing like all of that?
I mean, like I said, I've told you guys this before. My pops played for 13 years. He's been traded a lot. I just talked to him how he handles it. And that's kind of stay between us, just what me and my pops been talking about. But no, I mean, I just come in to work every day. Obviously thankful for the opportunity to be here. You know, show up with the ready to work mentality all the time, and you know, it is what it is. I mean, it's a business.
You talked about missing a significant amount of time last year, obviously with the injury, recovering from surgery. How much would you say that you feel you have something to prove or a chip on your shoulder as you get this opportunity here in summer?
Yeah, obviously being the main first round draft pick last year, just having this opportunity to go out here and this season. I mean, just some of these, and you know, the GD came off of Stockton champs, so you know we have a lot of confidence on.
So you can play a point guard, shooting guard, or whatever.
Whatever they need to do. Yeah, whatever they need to do.
When you hear people talk about, even them themselves, and they publicly say now the need for a point guard, how's that kind of sit with you as somebody who's on this roster?
One more time. What was the last part? I heard the first one.
Yeah, just how does that kind of resonate with you as somebody who's on this roster?
I mean, at the end of the day, everybody has an opinion. I really just focus on myself and what I do, my strengths, my weaknesses, try to fix my weaknesses. But I mean, like I said, just learning, watching film. I never played point guard in my life, so just coming.
Boom. That's what I wanted y'all to hear. I've never played point guard in my life. That was a similar position that Davion Mitchell was put in. That's what Keon Ellis was put in last year. Zach LaVine was put in that position last year. I could keep going and going. Malik, to a degree. Guys out of position. So handles need to be better across the board. But I kind of, you got to remember that when we talk about the basketball IQ. You guys bringing the ball up and pushing it and kind of being fish out of water to a degree. Imagine even a Keon Ellis, who's got some NBA basketball under his belt. He's still getting used to the speed of the game. He's still learning new things about the game. That's Devin Carter, who missed all of Summer League last year. Played one game in Stockton, was ahead of schedule, came up and played his first NBA game, made an impact, obviously. National TV, his dad's on the other end of the bench, coaching for Memphis. So a little extra adrenaline, but trying to just work all of that together. But then, hey, can you play some point guard too? So getting guys back into position, I think really is important. Now, can Devin come out and do it? We'll see. That's what Summer League's all about. It's going to be hard to look at Dev and what he's doing from a point guard perspective and then look at a Mason Jones, who's going to look a lot more smoother with the basketball because Mace is a true point guard. Now, granted, a little bit more of a scoring point guard. So as much as you're going to want to compare the two, you've got to kind of look at each of them individually. And you have to see where the improvements are at in their game, especially in the areas that you know the Kings are asking them to improve. I know handles was across the board last year. The handles have to improve on this team. Another thing that was across the board, the passing. The passing, and I'm not talking about turnovers. I'm just talking about regular passing. It was subpar. The Kings were not, as Doug Christie put it, once the Kings created an advantage, they weren't keeping the advantage and maintaining that and passing it along to their teammate because they would more times than not throw a bad pass over the head, to the side, at the shoestrings, which isn't in that natural shooting pocket. So kind of like we compared the 46-win season and the off season leading into last season. The whole idea was control the controllables, and the free throws were the controllables. The Kings' free throw attempts were down like close to 20%. Percentage was down a little bit, but attempts and makes were just massively down from the playoff year, 48-win year. And the Kings still that year, when they were down, won 46 games and dealt with a ton of injuries at the end of the year. What did they do this year? Right off the bat, and I know DeMar DeRozan plays big into this, but right off the bat, the free throws, they were getting to the line. They were number 1 in the league. I believe they were 1 in the league at percentage and 2 at getting to the free throw line, which is why they hovered around 500, below 500, but yet their net rating was still in the positive. It's like, how is this working? It was the controllables. It's getting to the free throw line. So if the Kings, I guess what I'm trying to say is if they can do the same this year, control the controllables, make better passes, dribble the ball better, handle pressure better, make better decisions just by default. No matter who's on paper or on the roster, it can be the same core. That same core is going to be a little bit better. Now, those things don't add up to making this core exist in the same realm as Oklahoma City, Houston, etc., but it gives you a better chance. So that's what Devin had to say. Neek also got some time on the mic. Here was Neek after his first practice.
And I was on the black team, so we were winning, so I can't be mad about it. But good first day. Everybody was happy to be here and just excited to get to work.
Do you know everyone's name yet?
Yeah, I've learned everybody's name. It's a lot of new faces, but excited to play with all the new guys, get to learn their games.
Who was on your squad?
Devin, who else? There was a lot. There was 5 of us.
I got you.
But I'm not gonna go over it right now.
Yeah, I got you. But you know everybody.
Yeah, I know everybody.
Anybody impressed most out there today?
Honestly, we were winning. I think our team impressed me the most. We were just playing together and just.
Your distributors, it's been a little. That's been the missing ingredient for the Kings the last year and a half. You've had too many finishers and not enough distributors. I've explained on this show many times why it worked so well in 22-23, and then the following year it was so different. It was a combination of reasons, failure to adjust to the way the teams were playing the dribble handoff. But it was also your two-headed attack at point guard, where both of the guys aren't really point guards. That attack worked because it was hitting you 2 different ways. It could hit you at the same time, 2 different ways. Well, one of those guys settled for threes. They quit doing the things that got their teammates open for shots. And so now that misbalance that you're talking about, Paul, looks even bigger. The Kings certainly, there was something in the analytics when you look at the draft picks that say, okay, if we want to play this way, the analytics say it's better to have this type of guard because you drafted carbon copies of guards. I mean, Davion Mitchell and Devin Carter, not too dissimilar, right? I don't think they're that dissimilar. Physically a little bit different, but their games kind of in the same realm. You just didn't have, you did have that true point guard, but it was never a true point guard that was signed to play major minutes on this team. And to your point, Paul, that's why when Domantas Sabonis went out last year and JV was able to step in and the Kings were able to survive. In fact, they played a little bit of a different style, and it worked out with JB. That's why you made the play-in, because when Sabonis came back, Monk went out. And DeMar DeRozan is a distributor to a degree, but he's not really bring it up and create for others distributor. He's a draw a double team and find the open man, which he's very good at. But when Malik Monk went out, that's why the Kings limped across the finish line, because you had no creators. That's why they were losing games. You were asking Zach LaVine to create. You were asking Keon Ellis to create. Now, I would assume if that's part of how this team wants to play, my guess is that should have been part of what they were asked to improve at in the offseason. It's really hard to become a creator in one offseason, but it starts with the ball handling, the ability to separate. And then the court vision. Sometimes you can't teach the vision. You know, I do worry heavily about Zach LaVine and his basketball IQ. Some of the plays that he made last year were just, they were head shakers. You could see them as a fan coming a mile away before Zach even released the pass. So, long-winded way of saying Schroeder is your only natural point guard. And that's why there's all eyes on deck with these tweeners. And possibly that includes Neek Clifford. If Neek looks like a better distributor than Devin Carter, he's going to play himself into some time at that position. It's not going to be the 3, too small. Not going to be the 2, majorly backlogged. He's got an opportunity at the 1. I really hope the Kings give Mason Jones at least a training camp playing that 1. Mike Brown gave Mace a lot of love at the end of the last training camp. You saw what Mace did last year in Stockton, led him to a championship. So to be decided with who's the distributor and who's not. We'll see. With Summer League starting tomorrow. Here's Neek again after practice yesterday.
Having fun, so I thought it was a good first day.
What's kind of the messaging that the staff's been giving you of what they want to see from you and just the early steps of this process?
Just playing the game the right way, making a winning impact. I'd say defending, rebounding, doing the things I was doing in college, and just making easy plays, keeping the game simple. So that's kind of what I'm coming in here to do, and have done that since college. So I want to carry that over.
What kind of welcome sight is it to see Isaiah Stewart there?
Steven?
Yeah. Got thrown off earlier.
It's all good. a lot of names, bro. It's really cool. Full circle. We're playing together again. I've known him since high school. Him and David Roddy kind of recruited me. They were my hosts on my visit out of high school. Then played a year with him. So it's been full circle, and it's super cool to be here with him together. That was my guy in college, my last year before last. So super cool and glad that he's here.
What'd you see from like Devin today in terms of being, kind of a primary ball handler, playmaker?
Devin's high level, man. He can score the ball, plays the right way, and he's going to be really good for us. I'm excited to play with him. He's also a Colorado dude that I've known for a while, so glad to be teammates with him now.
I imagine you've seen your share of Summer League over the years growing up in this game and waiting for your opportunity. How exciting is it or whatever? What are you feeling now as you get ready to head to Vegas and participate?
Yeah, man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to just compete against the best of the best. The environment, atmosphere is just going to be crazy. All the NBA, GMs, organizations, everyone's going to be there. So it's just a cool environment, like I said, to just be a part of and go against the best every night. So it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, it really is kind of the NBA quote unquote convention where everybody comes together. The first 4 or 5 days of Summer League, and then it starts to tail off. And that's when conversations can happen. That's when new moves begin to formulate. But looking forward, excited to see how some of these guys have improved. And I want to see what the rookies can do as well. Do not understand. What's up, Ed? How you doing, bud? I do not understand the basketball moves the Kings have made over the last 3 years. Absolutely mind-boggling. Okay. I don't disagree with you, Ed. Fox trade, not because you're trading Fox, but what you got for Fox, the way Fox was basically, the difference between the Fox and Luka trades was the Luka trade was in the middle of the night. The Fox trade, everybody knew that he wanted out. So the Kings only negotiated with one team. Not the best move. Drafting, can't really say for sure yet. I think where it started, Ed, was extending Sabonis after the Beam Team year when the Kings broke the playoff streak. I think using that money somewhere else could have really helped them. But yeah, I'm with you, man. There were ways to improve that the Kings did not jump on for sure. How many times did we see opponents doubling our ball handlers, trying to pin them against sidelines? Too many. And that would be the exact same game plan I would play if I was on the opposite side of the court versus the Kings opening night. Hell, in Summer League. Well, I don't know if I'd do it in Summer League. Probably not, because Devin should be by default a level above most every other player that's guarding him. But yeah, and where they picked the ball up too, that's the IQ part of it. They were uncomfortable because it's not their natural, it's not what they trained to do. Yes, every player can dribble a basketball. Yes, every player, for the most part, can shoot a basketball. They can pass a basketball. But being in game situations with that stuff thrown at you, if it's not something that's part of your routine, something that, is a part of the fabric of your game, that's going to throw you off. And that's why all these talks about Malik possibly being on the move, they're just really hard to even consider feasibly unless you got back another true point guard. They've got Kobe Jones, right? You got somebody like that out of it because of what Ed's talking about, the misbalance on the roster, which still is there. Even with Dennis Schroeder, it's there. Yeah, you got
the biggest thing is we need a point guard. That's for sure.
That's great. You got two guys that have played most of their eligibility out in college, meaning there's a higher expectation that they can step directly onto an NBA court. Doesn't mean they're playing 30 minutes a night, but the game should be a little easier for them to adjust to than an 18-year-old Ace Bailey and so on. But yeah, with Malik, it's just, it would be hard for me to see them making that move until you've got eyeballs. You need more than Summer League. You need training camp. You got to get through training camp, and it's Doug's training camp, which is most important before you really know, okay, yeah, we might be up the creek at that one guard position unless you're going to play a certain style of basketball. I just hope if you're joining the show now, we were talking about Keegan Murray a little bit ago. I think a large part of what the Kings try to do needs to be incorporated through and with Keegan Murray, especially with that contract year or extension talks to be coming up. We are an NBA team that has to strike gold in the draft to be good. We hit a few times. Okay, no, you don't have to just strike gold in the draft. That's partially true. You have to take risks. You have to take risks. Calculated good risks. You traded Jason Williams for Mike Bibby. And look at how it turned out. That was a big risk. But you kind of felt like the team had hit its ceiling as constructed with Jason. Yeah, exciting player, puts butts in the seats. Great guy. And maybe that's what it is. This team over the last 3 years has not taken what I would consider to be calculated risks. I would say you could knock them more for not taking risks at all. I mean, the trade deadline, 46-win year, the Kings were ahead of the Lakers in the standings. The Lakers end up in the Western Conference Finals. They grab a couple of pieces for cheap. Both pieces that the Kings needed help at those respective positions. Excuse me. That was the Beam Team year, 22-23. The 46-win year is when the Mavericks, behind you in the standings, made a couple moves. Yeah, we'll part with a first-round pick. We think if we can tweak this just a little bit, it's going to take us to the next level. Where do they end up? The NBA Finals. So I think the Kings, you can't say they took a lot of calculated risks. Their best trade deadline acquisition over the 3 years was Jonas Valanciunas, and now he's gone. The Zach LaVine acquisition, to me, that was just a reckless decision. So with the Bibby deal, you had Petrie and Adelman. Yes, very true. Okay, so I want to ask all of you a question. This came up. Exactly. Peter's kind of outlining what I said. That was a lot of Weber, right? He was having issues in Washington, didn't want to come to Sacramento. Yeah, Peja, that was a very good draft pick. You got to give him credit there. Within reason, Peja was striking gold. Now, he's not a superstar, but can you imagine the numbers that Peja would have put up in this NBA with three-point shooting? The Vlade signing, that was big. So I heard this debated on Grant's show, and I want to ask all of you. You know what? We'll ask Jerry Reynolds, too, next Tuesday. Here's the question. What would be your Kings all-time starting five? You have to keep the players in their proper positions, and we're keeping it to the Sacramento era Kings. We're not going back to Kansas City and all that. What is your starting, like your all-time starting five? First team Kings. I've got to put Mitch Richmond at 2. Mitch has to be at 2. Do you have Domas at center? Rock says, I think Kings hit a few times in the draft. Don't be too critical. But yeah, look what Tyrese Halliburton turned into. John, he also didn't play that much towards the end of the season. We never got the reason for that. You know, in some ways, I felt like that was a puzzle Doug Christie just could not crack about how to play those guys together, Sabonis and Valanciunas. And that would have been something that I would have been, like, if I'm writing down what I am staring at in training camp, that's one of the things that I would have been circling. Can Doug find a way to play those two together? Now he's gone. Justin says Bibby at point guard. All right, so you got your... I don't disagree with Bibby at point guard. Cousins at center. Okay. So right now I'm at Mitch. In my backcourt is Mitch Richmond, Mike Bibby. I agree, Rock. Rock, roll the tape back on this show about 35 minutes. You'll like what you hear. You will definitely like what you hear. By the way, also, you will like hopefully you like what you hear later tonight. Napes, 8 o'clock. Join him for his open forum show. Look at that new graphic. Look at him in paradise. Napes, it's too hot to be wearing a suit like that. Paradise, man. You need to get you some earbuds too. Come on, Napes. Looking good though. Like the colors on that graphic. 8 o'clock tonight. He'll be doing open forum. Obviously, the Kings Court will be back all week. We'll have the kickoff of Summer League tomorrow. We won't probably do any post-game stuff for the Kings Summer League games. If they make it to the championship, then we'll do something for it, but we'll have plenty to talk about with those here. So what do people want to ignore? Rondo and Bond all time. You're saying Bonzi Wells is the Kings' best 3 guard? Or 3? Interesting. But wasn't Doug a 2 fans? You're going to put Doug in there? Halliburton was pay dirt. There was gold in there, but we weren't going to find it here in Sacramento. He had to leave to get a better situation. I think you would have found more than you think, Peter, but I don't know how the Kings would have dealt with the De'Aaron Fox situation. We had a lot of talks about Hallie and how he ended up in a better organization that said, we're going to build around you. We're going to get the pieces that you need. That definitely helps. And with the Kings organization, is flawed as it's been reported by Sam Amick, and certainly I've seen things, I've heard things, I've read things. With all that in mind, I still think their hand would have been pushed by the fan base to do more. You would have known that you had something different in Hallie. It just would have been, how do you get Fox out? Anybody else with their starting fives? I agree with Bibby and Richmond in the backcourt. Peja at the 3. Who's my 4? Chris Webber's probably my 4. And Domantas Sabonis is my 5. Anybody go against that? I got to go Sabonis over Cousins. I just do. Cousins didn't take him to the playoffs. And I'm not even taking into account the off-court stuff. Yeah, I think that's my 5. Bibby, Richmond, Stojakovic, Weber, and Sabonis. I think that's it. If we wanted to go the other way, what would be the opposite starting 5? Like the worst starting 5 in Kings history? You got to throw Spencer Hawes in there. Spencer Hawes in the discussion. Oh, that's a good one, Rock. Vlade, Brad Miller, Sabonis at the 5. Yeah, I kind of lean to go with Vlade before Brad, though. I think I would probably go Sabonis, Vlade, Brad. John, there's an argument. But Vince wasn't really in his prime. You didn't get prime Vince Carter. You got one night of it. What did he drop? Like 30 or 40? But Jason Williams, Polonese wasn't that bad. Come on. Give OP some love. OP wasn't that bad. Sabonis, Weber, Peja, Mitch, Bibby. Yeah, I'm with you, Paul. That's probably my all-time Kings starting 5. Who'd be the second? Well, I think Jason Williams. Well, do you have to go Jason Williams or IT? I think Brad Miller was under. Yeah, you know what? It's a good point. He was ahead of his time, Rock. with 3-point shooting. Brad could step out and hit a three. Brad really helped this team out through those 2004, 2005, and then the Kings make the playoffs for that last year, 2006, before 22-23. Brad did play well. Mitch Richmond. Yeah, Mitch, he's got to be year 2. There's no doubt about it. Period. End of story. Can't debate it. Is Doug Christie the backup? Is he the backup too? Hey, what's up? Cavan. Am I saying that right? Cavan? Why do you think Quentin Grimes hasn't signed yet? It's a good question. Honestly, I haven't thought about it. It's a very good question. I'll think about it and let you know. You know, he might be waiting. Let's look at that. We've got our free agent tracker out here. Let's see. It's a good question. We should have our free agent tracker. Is our free agent tracker gone? No, it's not gone. We've got it. Here we go. Yeah, Brogdon's still out there, which we know the Kings might still be talking about. A lot of that's going to depend on Summer League and what they do. Might be asking for too much money. You might think that there's more value for him. Hold on. Let's check this out. Now you got me curious. Seems like the Sixers think he's coming back. I don't know. You know what? That's the best point. I started thinking about the Kuminga situation. Now that I'm thinking about the Kuminga situation, he probably is going to be, I think he's kind of in a Kuminga situation where he could be possibly signed and traded. I think that's probably like best value, sign and trade. That's probably why Grimes has not gone yet. Purvis, Jimmer. Oh my gosh. Where does Ostertag rank? Was Ostertag ever in a Kings jersey? I don't remember that. I think now I'm starting to remember it. Why Bonzi for you, Dennis? That's so interesting to me. Zach LaVine. My man Dennis is hitting the bottle hard right now. You think Zach LaVine is the best 2-guard in the history of the Kings, Dennis? I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, my man, but holy bleep. See, I know what Dennis does. Dennis double downs on his opinions. Like, he's waiting for Zach LaVine to end up being the best acquisition that the Kings have ever had. And he's going to put it in all of our faces. Yeah, I felt bad for Bagley. I thought Bagley was kind of in one of those situations that we talked about with Ace Bailey, with his parents and the compound that they built here in Sacramento. Yeah, Thomas Robinson. That did not go well. You know what? I really don't want to talk about this, but I really do need to talk about this. Ben McLemore, who, I thought that he was able to hang around the league long enough to say that, he probably isn't considered in that category a bus. But this is in all seriousness. Ben McLemore has been convicted of rape. First-degree rape, first-degree unlawful sexual penetration, second-degree sexual abuse. Deliberations took 10 hours, and he has been sentenced to over 8 years in prison, 100 months. Wow. It's very, very unfortunate for the victim, first and foremost. But, man, that's just no good. No good at all. Over 8 years in prison. Yeah. Thanks, Israel. I knew there was something that I was not getting to. Unbelievable. The incident occurred at the home of McLemore's then Portland Trail Blazers teammate, Robert Covington. Prosecutors stated that the victim was heavily intoxicated, passed out on a couch, and unable to consent, waking up during the assault. Feeling terrified, McLemore's defense, led by attorney Lisa Maxfield and Kristen Wintermiller, interesting, argued the encounter was consensual. Doesn't matter what they argued. He's been convicted. 100 months in prison. Talk about an absolute fall from grace. 100 months. Yep, I'm with you, Paul. That's why I said to the victim first. Unbelievable. Bad stuff. Not a good day for Ben McLemore and his family. Now we have to talk about this, right? You know what? I meant to talk about it earlier. We just started talking really heavy into Summer League and Keegan Murray. Last 4 drafts, Magic, Crystal Ball, Jalen Williams, Jabari Walker, Kamara, Carrington, Sheed, Clifford, Cam Jones. Not 2 years, over 8 years. 100 months in prison. He'll be in Oregon State Prison. Bad stuff. Really bad stuff. What's that have to... What, Dennis, let that be a lesson to everyone that drinks with someone the first time? I think that's taking it a little bit to the extreme. How about a convicted rapist? How about don't drink with a rapist for the first time? Rhino, are there any prospects on the Summer League roster that may earn a 2-way contract? Don't recognize these names. Yeah, well, your 2-way contracts might already be filled up, by the way. That's important to note because the Kings extended a qualifying offer to Isaiah Crawford, and I believe 2 of the 2-ways have already been agreed to. Let's go to the roster really quick, and then we'll get ready to wrap up. The guys that I'm looking for, fans, it's nothing flashy. If I had to give you one guy to look at, it's not so much getting a two-way deal, it would be getting an invite to training camp. It's John Elmore. I think John Elmore could really find his way into getting an invite. He's a guy that can push the pace. His basketball IQ is through the roof. He can shoot the three ball. He can shoot the runner. And he can guard. John is sneaky quick. He can guard, I don't know, probably definitely 1 through 3, maybe 1 through 4. But John Elmore definitely is the one that I would look at. Not so much for a two-way. Thank you. There's your two ways that have already signed. Isaiah Stephen and Dylan Cardwell. Those are your first two ways. Isaiah Crawford might be your third. If it's not going to be Isaiah Crawford, probably Mace. I believe Mace can be a two-way one more year. I've got to check on that. Do not remember that. Yeah, John Elmore does have a quick first step. Yes and no. John Elmore is just a basketball player. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. I mean, he is just a very good basketball player. He can do a little bit of everything. Plays fast, he guards, he's physical. He's just a good basketball player. Much smaller than Caruso. Much smaller. I think that's the first thing. Not as long as Caruso. But yeah, John Elmore, for sure, would be kind of a sneaky one that I would look at. You think he's the best point guard? Interesting, Peter. Very interesting. He's also the all-time leading scorer, I believe, in Marshall history. It was funny. It was one of the playoff games in Stockton this last year. And I think it was it San Antonio's affiliate that they were playing? Anyways, I was sitting next to Dex, was the last guy on the bench. And so we were kind of shooting the crap back and forth. And Dexter goes, man, this guy can ball. And it was like this, I don't know. He was an unassuming looking guy. Like you'd think, okay, that guy's going to play in the game. And dude was balling out. Yeah, he's definitely he's a glue guy in Stockton, 100%. But anyways, I turned to Dex and I'm like, Dex, why are you surprised? You've got one right here on your team. I'm like, Dex, are you picking up John at Cal Fit or 24? And he just starts cracking up. And it was so true. But yeah, John just balls, man. Great work ethic too. Family guy. Love John. John, good story for him. So I'm happy he got the invite. But like, if you're looking for like some off the cuff big bet that's like, you're taking, I don't know, like you're taking the field versus Joey Chestnut in the hot dog eating contest, give me John Elmore. He did. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, you just watch John Elmore walk into a gym, you're just like, okay, is he a point guard? And then he starts playing. He is just a freaking good basketball player. Yeah, just a good basketball player. So happy for him. He was a huge part of what Stockton did to win a championship. All right, you got Grant tonight, 8 o'clock Also, don't forget, you got about an hour left if you want to make it to Bennett's for a little bit of happy hour. The West Side Grill, Rockland, Roseville, Howe, and Fair Oaks. All of them, same great seafood and steak, big portions, and most importantly, just bomb. I mean, incredibly classy and comforting home-cooked meals. I love the weekend brunch from 11 to 2 o'clock at all locations. Not your thing for brunch? Go check out Prime Rib Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. Really, they've got a special going like almost every night. So go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can learn more about those. You can make reservations. You can buy gift cards. You can do it all there. Sign up for the newsletter. Let you know when they're coming out with special menus or new lunch specials, which they'll do from time to time. But a huge thanks to Brian and Margot and all of you for supporting Bennett's. When you go in, let them know that you heard about them here on the channel. And let us know when you go in as well. We'll pass that along to Brian. He always loves hearing that feedback. But all of the experiences we have heard from you, from Brian, and I know whenever Grant's in town, that's where we're at. Jerry and I, when we go to lunch, we go to Bennett's. So big thanks to them. Again, Bennett'sRestaurants.com, 3 locations in the greater Sacramento area. Promise you will have an incredible meal over at Bennett's. It's going to do it for us. Thanks for coming in today. We'll be back tomorrow. You got Grant tonight. Tomorrow, Summer League kicks off. So if anything happens in between now and then, we'll be back on the air in terms of the Kings. If a major move was to happen. But you got Grant, 8 o'clock tonight with his new shiny, flashy thumbnail. Look at that. Grant getting fancy with it. How about that? What's up, Johnny? Late to the show. It's all good. Johnny... Okay, Johnny is the scout around here on the King's Court. Johnny, when I heard that Dex was playing for San Antonio, burn it down! I wanted to burn the house down. I think Dex, it's so funny that you said Dex, who I was just telling the story about. Dex, when somebody asked me, like, think about this. It's a big jump. It's a huge jump. But, like, who could possibly be, like, that next Keon Ellis? Like, maybe it's Dex. He's got the NBA athleticism. He got a ton of run in the finals. Stockton does not win the finals without Dex. So, good job. Good job by you, Johnny. We'll see. Hopefully Dex doesn't make too big of an impact in San Antonio. They got a lot of guards around there. But remember this with the G League. Players are not, unless you are a two-way player, you are not signed to the team you are playing for. You're signed by the G League. So at any time, a team can come pick you up. So keep an eye on what Dex is doing. I thought there would have been more of a look at Dex, but he's in San Antonio. Grant, he's in Florida. He's back tonight. Join him 8 p.m. Appreciate all of you so much for being here in the dog days of summer. I acknowledge it. Best fans. And by the way, BS, man. Acknowledge me. Last thing out the door. In fact, I'm bringing down the Grant promo really quick. The national and the local media in New York were ripping the Knicks a new one for having or not having Leon Rose there to introduce and be a part of the press conference with Mike Brown. Think about that. And I'm thinking, of course, Mike walked onto stage by himself. He's used to it. Came from Sacramento. I said that to Frank Isola. Like, yeah, it's standard operating procedure around here, but the Knicks were getting killed for it. And Mike, I really like you, but I disagree with you. The best and most knowledgeable fans and Mike said in sports. I'm saying in the association, right here in Sacramento. Kings fans and Kings fans extended across the nation. So, all right, y'all, we'll see you tomorrow for the Kings Court. Grant tonight, 8 o'clock. Come join him for Open Forum. Until then, be safe. Appreciate you. Thank you for letting me into your ears, your homes, your offices, your cars for a couple of hours to talk Kings basketball with you. Really appreciate it. Go Kings, light the beam. Court is dismissed.
Order in the court.